Hello guys, it's Will. I am back, gonna be doing some videos here and there. And of course, MLB, the day that I start doing videos again, they only have hitter fantasy score because there's no DraftKings odds currently, so there's just no other props up. And there's only one that I kind of like, but it's of course slim pickings here. So NBA, gonna be mixing in some playoff basketball, starting off with fantasy score. Nicholas Claxton, 35.5 on the under here, the less taking that one. And the big news with this series is that Joel Embiid, the likely MVP, will be out for this game with a knee injury. And so Claxton, through the first three games of this series, he's been around 31 fantasy score, if I remember correctly. So obviously he's going to get that bump because it's an easier matchup. And if you look at the DraftKings odds for this game, it is a very low total, just kind of how the series is going, 208.5, but only +2 for the Nets on the spread here. So that could actually be a good thing. Well, because Embiid obviously missing should keep this game close with Brooklyn playing at home, and this is win or go home for them. Now, looking at Claxton's lines, you can kind of do a projection for the fantasy score. So 12.5 even line, rebounds 9.5, assists on other books, it's favored over 1.5 pretty heavily. And then he gets a lot of stocks. So we'll give him 3 and then 1 turnover. You do all of that. That's going to give you about 34.9 on the fantasy score. So this projection, it's pretty much right at 35.5, but I don't really think this projection should be that high based off of just Embiid being out because the Brooklyn Nets, they like to go small, and that just means Claxton's minutes are always going to be inconsistent. That's been a constant theme throughout the season after, or really the entire year, but after the Brooklyn Nets, they made those major trades. And for Embiid being out, there really is no need for Claxton's size to be out there. I, if I were to guess, I would think Brooklyn keeps the same lineup, but also because they are down 0-3, coaches are more inclined to make starting lineup adjustments just so they can say that they try to change something up in hopes of turning the series around. And so I would say there's a small chance that Claxton could maybe he could start Royce O'Neal or do something different, but I expect Claxton to start, and I still like this. I'm taking this problem knowing or assuming that the Brooklyn Nets are going to keep the same lineup. And you could also say on the opposite side with Philly, I would guess they start Paul Reed. He's been the direct backup to Embiid, but we've seen them start PJ Tucker at center, and they'll play like DeAnthony Melton, or they start like Jalen McDaniels because he is now on after the trade deadline. They have him or Niang, someone, they just go small. So that's something that could also play into our favor on this under prop for Claxton. And you're just gonna expect more Harden usage, right? With Embiid out, Tyrese Maxey, a lot of pick and rolls is just how the NBA is nowadays, and they want to hunt for mismatches. Claxton is a traditional center. They want him switched out. He's a good defender, but laterally, movement, Harden is gonna want to try to hunt that matchup. So it's much better if the Nets just continue going with their small ball lineup because they really can now. They don't have to double uh, with double Embiid, they can focus on just switching everything, and they're going to be better at doing that if they go small with Royce O'Neal, some of their other smaller players. So Claxton, I don't really like his minutes. I think he's probably going to see under 30 here, and he's going to absolutely need a smash with these stocks, and I just don't really see this happening. So I really do like the under here. This is my favorite one for now. And then the next one, it's going to be Royce O'Neal. So this is a positively correlated play with Claxton. The odds here, so if you look at this is our optimizer tool that we have on DFS Army. Royce O'Neal, his RA prop 7.5. So on FanDuel and Caesars, -118, -129. Now obviously the odds are only implied at -108. But because the projections, the books, they just don't really have this prop as much as compared to some of the other props. But if you look at DraftKings, this prop RA for Royce, it's -135. So pretty good prop on PrizePicks to take. Now, I actually, before I looked at the odds, I liked his points, rebounds, PR actually. But if you look at those odds, so PR, it's an even line, and then the rebounds, it's really not a great prop at 5. So I was interested in these. I think they're good plays on books, but because of PrizePicks, how the math works, and we have the entire breakdown on our channel, so you can check those videos out. But for the sake of just making the right play here, I'm gonna go with Royce O'Neal over 7.5 RA, and this is a correlated play with Claxton's under because Royce O'Neal is going to close. If you look at the past games for this series on Popcorn Machine, so Claxton, he has not closed here, and then Royce O'Neal, because of blowout here, so he didn't play the last 427. But then you look at game 2, he closed. He just never rested after he checked in actually in the third quarter, and you can see the same thing here. And Claxton has not closed, so it's basic correlation here. You want to be able to take kind of these two together. It's not, you don't have to do it, but it just makes sense to in an entry. And I would say that Royce O'Neal is going to play some heavy minutes. He hasn't shot the ball well at all, and he's still getting the minutes because of his defense. He's going to be out there to obviously 3 and D. That's what he does. And in this matchup now without Embiid, he could stay on the court a lot more. And even when Embiid was on there, like they were using Royce to handle Embiid, to guard him one-on-one, sometimes even. And so Royce is going to be in the closing lineup. He's been doing that for the series, and he hasn't been shooting well at all. Like he's made like 2 shots in the past 3, like in each of the past 3 games, and he's just going to shoot better. Like it's kind of basically bad shooting. You're going to turn it around eventually, and I think this is definitely a good spot. His minutes are going to be there, so I like this one. I would say that just you don't have to play it again with Claxton, but it definitely makes sense because of the correlation. But you look at game 2, another thing I want to mention though about Claxton, like Seth Curry played over DFS. So if that happens again, you look at this lineup for game 2, Royce O'Neal is going to have to rebound really well. So that's another plus for this prop. Now, the third and final play, again, only going to be able to give 3 plays just because there's no other categories for MLB currently. We are going to go with Kris Bryant over 7 fantasy score. Now, when the underdog board dropped, it was at 7.5. Now, different scoring system, but I liked it there. I'm going to like it at 7 here as well. And for Kris Bryant, this game, 75-degree weather, winds 20 miles. It's pretty much blowing actually straight out to left field. So it's not directly right to left. And if you look at the totals, 9.5, it is tied for the highest total on the slate. Not in course, but still, it's a good spot due to the weather and the matchup against Christopher Sanchez. Sanchez, he pitched last year. These are his numbers from last season. So against righties, Kris Bryant, he hits them really well. Or against left-handed pitchers, Kris Bryant, he is always going to dominate that side of the ball, that handness. And for Bryant against lefty Christopher Sanchez here, Sanchez, he has the same exact splits that are favorable to Kris Bryant. He's much weaker against right-handed hitters, a much higher fly ball percentage, hard hit rate, and he also does walk, which is good for a fantasy score prop rather than like a tour base prop. And because of the weather, again, you just have very good hitting conditions. You look at the MLB side for the odds here, 9.5 again. All these totals, right, 9.5. You do have 9.5 here. But now, obviously, these are some pretty good offenses in the Angels against Zach Greinke. And then with the Padres, have Tatis back. So a good one for the Rockies here. Now, specifically for them, they have a 4.5 run total, favorite for the under. But again, the matchup is very good for Kris Bryant, and then also the weather. That's the big thing about this prop. So those are going to be the 3 picks for this video. Unfortunately, we just don't have much to choose for on this MLB slate. But thank you guys for watching. Claxton is going to be the favorite play. And of course, we're going to be dropping more plays in the DFS Army Discord. So if you are not a member, I actually did post these props earlier before I recorded this. So members, they will always get first dibs on these because they do pay for the sub and they are in Discord. So they're there. They get the props before in case that they do get bumped. So if you guys aren't subscribed, please do, because again, with PrizePicks, how they handle the props, they will bump by the time you're watching the video. These props could be gone or they've already been bumped, which I never suggest to play bumps. So make sure you do turn on the notification bell so you do not miss out on these plays. And thank you guys for watching once again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.